Hey everyone, thank you for joining my presentation. My name is Madison Oakley, and I'm going to be talking about biological weapons and what you should know as a paramedic or a first responder. So, what is a biological weapon? A biological weapon is a microorganism or toxic substance that is created and distributed to deliberately cause disease or death among humans, plants, or animals. It could be a virus, bacteria, fungus, or toxin capable of reaching epidemic levels of morbidity and mortality. So, who is at risk? Well, technically, we all are. No one is immune to the threat of bioterrorism or possible accidental exposure. However, paramedics and other first responders are of particular concern as they often come into contact directly with people who are sick. Because of this, it's essential that paramedics are educated on common biological weapons and how to best protect themselves while in the field. Biological weapons are ranked into three categories based on level of severity. They are recognized as highest priority, category A, second highest priority, category B, and third highest priority, category C. Category A is the highest priority threat. These agents are quickly dispersed from person to person, resulting in high rates of mortality. These agents also have the potential to generate monumental consequences on public health and even evoke public panic or disruption on immense scales. Some Category A agents include anthrax, botulism, plague, smallpox, tularemia, viral hemorrhagic fever, and arena viridae. Category B is the second highest priority threat. These agents are intermediately dispersed from person to person and result in intermediate morbidity and low mortality. Several agents include brucellosis, food safety compromises, ricin toxin, viral encephalitis, and water safety compromises. Category C is the final category, and it's defined as the third highest priority agents and includes emerging pathogens that could potentially cause high morbidity and mortality. Category C agents may be easily produced and dispersed, and this could result in extensive impacts on public health. Here is a table of some of the agents I previously discussed. Feel free to pause the video and look over the table at your leisure. So how do you protect yourself as a paramedic or first responder? First things first, your best options are personal protective equipment or PPE. It's the first line of defense, it's the most practical, and it's utilized across the globe due to its effectiveness. PPE is essential in protecting against both known and unknown agents while in the field. Levels of PPE are also broken down into categories. Level A is the highest level of protection, and it consists of maximum respiratory, maximum skin, and maximum eyewear coverage or protection. Level A will require an air supply, self-contained breathing device, chemical and vapor protection like hazmat suits or coveralls, gloves, and boots. Maximum respiratory protection is always necessary for hazards or dangerous biological agents that are transmitted via inhalation. The two most common types of respiratory protection used are either air supplying or air purifying respirators, with air supplying respirators recognized as the highest level of protection. Air supplying respirators provide a continuous flow of fresh air from an external source, whereas air purifying respirators rely on filters to clean the air that you're breathing for you. Next, level B protection is indicated for instances where a high level of respiratory protection is required. However, skin protection is of lesser concern. Skin protection could possibly include a bodysuit, face or eye coverings, gloves, and footwear, depending on the level of threat presumed, or a potential for splash hazards. Last, level C and D are recognized as lower levels of protection that may provide adequate protection against more moderate threats. PPE compliance. Research suggests that compliance with PPE guidelines reduces over time. It's essential that first responders can recognize the significant role that PPE has in reducing rates of exposure and transmission, and ultimately that may combat the PPE fatigue when it is used very often. Adequate PPE can protect you from not only biological, but also chemical, radiological, or nuclear agents to a certain degree. How will the government support us? Canada is recognized as a leader and has played a significant role in the reduction of biological threats. In 1975, the Biological and Toxic Weapons Convention banned the creation and accumulation of biological weapons. Canada has actively been enforcing the Biological and Toxic Weapons Convention through a series of laws regarding biosafety, biosecurity, nonproliferation, and control of biological materials. Canada has also helped several other countries in developing adequate export controls over biological materials, formulating national legislation for themselves, and supporting peaceful use of biological materials or agents. In addition, to promote transparency, Canada also participates in annual confidence building measures. During these, data is shared regarding legislation utilization, laboratories, current research into biological defense and emerging pathogens, and the readiness to produce vaccinations. In conclusion, paramedics and other first responders work in incredibly challenging conditions and are more at risk of exposure to dangerous biological pathogens in comparison to the general population. Paramedics and other first responders must recognize the risk posed by biological weapons and how they can best protect themselves in the field. If a bioterrorist is able to take advantage of a weak or unprepared service or region or government, there is no limit to the devastation that could be caused, so it's essential that we take these threats seriously. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Here is a list of the references used for this presentation.